We want to promote a wider audience for the NAAC and use state-of-the-art technology. I'm just going to flip through these pretty quickly. Again, we're already out there. One of our affiliated groups is the Half Moon. And that's a photo I think that Reynolds gave it to me. Again, I picked this off the web. I think this may be Tony's website. I think he put that Center of American Pluralism, Coach Diversity. I kind of like this stuff again. Again, this could start with that's Manhattan, 1609. The Indians are in the trees, I believe, but no Europeans. Yeah, and I think we need to cover this period. Again, the central focus, because we have a lot of data, is on the Stello plan itself. It's going to be sort of the framework that we'll start with, and we can go into that in more detail. Again, Firth Bobbin gave me some panels of what the Museum of the City of New York had pulled together, I don't know, 30 years or so ago. This was, I think, a takeoff on when you went into the Museum of the City of New York's site on the first floor, where the Dutch and Netherlands period was important in the board members' eyes, I believe. This was a while back. But they did create a 360 panoramic view as if you were in the fort. What did it look like? And Len Tantilla tells me he can make it look a lot better. This is looking at Broadway. That's the big house, I think, is Martin Krieger's house, if I'm not mistaken. Peter Stuyvesant's house is maybe the Grand Settlement Fire, I'm not sure. But we'll learn more about that. We have certainly an expert on Peter Stuyvesant. And again, this is looking, well, no, into the, I think this is, I'll say, Isaac the Forest Garden back there. And that's what it looks like today. We're going to have the capability to flip back and forth. We'll learn more about this between what was there in 1660 versus what's there today. A very exciting possibility. The core team. We've had, I guess myself is probably been around long enough. I've sort of started the idea, went back many, many years. Charlie Gehring really taught me everything I know about New Netherlands and New Amsterdam. I wrote an article in 1993 and he read it. I think moved a lot of stuff around to get rid of this. And eventually David Boris got it and he eventually made it even better. So did Frank Slifer. And it got published. George James is the executive director of the Environmental Simulation Center. He'll tell you more about himself. But he's been working on this project for about 18 months. And Len Tantillo, I met maybe, I don't know, 14, 15 months ago. I went to Len's studio and I said, I want you to work on the History Center. He said, I'd like to work on it. It's important. The Corbin Building. That's been the dream. Again, it's a site that we think is probably the best site. Maybe it's on the top 3 floors with an entrance on the bottom. We'll have to see what happens. Again, it's right adjacent to this new transit center location. This is the Corbin Building. If I have my, see if this works. That's the Corbin Building right there. This is the new Fulton Transit Center yet to be built. The mission statement, again, we'll end with this. The New Amsterdam History Center encourages the public exploration of the early history of New Amsterdam and New York. I presume that means New York State in its entirety. Its diverse peoples, landscapes, and institutions, and its legacy for all the peoples of the world today. So, that's a pretty broad mission. I think we can fit in here with this initial project. Again, we view this as the first project. It's a digital project, but we don't have the corporate building or some other spot for ultimately the land. So what we want to do is to build something. We're trying to create assets that we can leverage as we move forward and really get fired. Let me just quickly, I'm going to introduce the participants. And you'll get a chance to talk more about yourself during the thematic presentations if you'd like. Chris Moore is right here. Chris is with the Schomburg Research Center. He's a member of the New York City Landmarks Commission. I believe he's a couple of. Donald Friery is a recent person who's just come on, who doesn't know us yet, but he's going to learn a lot about us. Don has 40 years after running the Deerfield Museum. He's got a legacy you wouldn't believe. I've been over there to take a look. It's a terrific role model for where we might want to go. He's a PhD from University of Pennsylvania and historian. Taught in New Paltz, as I understand it, at SUNY. So we've got, he's a powerhouse. Perth, everybody knows, Perth Herring, I'll leave it at that. Perth is NYU PhD, currently president of the Huguenot Society of America, a group that we feel is very closely aligned with this whole project. Given the presence of the Walloons very early on in this building of the new colony in New Amsterdam. Perth has written many articles and books, and I think she's got something most recently in the Holland about Pierre Cresson. So she's a powerhouse. Ruth Kawamka, pronouncing that right. I just met Ruth 2 days ago. Came to her place in Kinderhook. Could be a better place than that. Ruth, as I understand it, has curated several exhibits at the Albany Institute of Art, I believe, in history, and she's politically involved in Columbia County. I think ran the New York Columbia County Historical Society, if I'm not mistaken.
Van Allen House.
Van Allen House, and many other things. She's involved in land conservation. David Voorhees. Do I need to say anything more about David? Everybody knows David. David is probably the best publisher of the Hallman, organizer, and he'll probably tell us more about how we can utilize that rich resource for our purposes. He's also got the Leisler project that he's been working on for many, many years. He's an incredibly valuable asset to this group. With that, he's here. Esme Berg has not showed up yet, but I think she'll be here. Oh, there she is.
I will late.
I'm sorry. Esme is connected as a trustee with Sharif Israel. She is a veteran expert in, what was the organization?
American Sephardi Federation.
American Sephardi Federation. She ran that organization for 2 or 3 years. 3 years. And she's currently working with a number of people from that congregation. We think that's going to be a tremendous asset.
Specifically the 1654 Society.
The 1654 Society, that's correct. All I know about that is that I think the Hafts first came on that ship. According to Frank Cyber, he tells me that. It's a third party. I guess that's good enough. That the Hafts came out of Recipe on that ship with the Sephardic Jewish group. Excited to have Esme here. Peter Rose could not make it, but she wants to participate. I told her, well, down the road we'll be ready to cook, and we'll need your input. I think she's backed up in some other projects, but she wants to be a part of this. Joel Grossman. I met Joel a year ago at the 5 Dutch Days event. He stood up and said, you guys just lost your history. The state of New York took all those artifacts and took them up to the New York State Museum. I said, Joel, don't worry about it. We have the whole group here. It's part of many of us and others that are working with the New York State Department of Education and the museum. And I think we've got an alliance that's not to worry. All of that's going to be worked out. And I think time will tell, but I'm quite encouraged. I think Charlie probably can say more about that.